Good afternoon, and welcome to the third group meeting here in this church since the pandemic hit in March. And it feels really right to be back here, and I'm very grateful that we can be in here today. I want to thank Mike Gross, who when I suggested this a week and a half ago, he just said, I think we can do that. He didn't hesitate, because we love to be together in this church for music, for fellowship, and we're so happy that we can start that up again. I also want to thank his daughter Lizzie, who is serving as the camera woman, and she is going to prepare the recording of this for the website. If you know people who wanted to be here but couldn't, tell them that they can view it, probably tomorrow, the next day it'll be up on the website. Hard reading without my glasses, but I've got two pairs for music. I enjoy the selections that I've chosen for today very much. I've been playing these this summer because they remind me of summer. The sounds and the images remind me of pictures that I've seen, film clips, and of places far away and some written a long time ago. So sit back, close your eyes if you wish during some of these, relax, and just get into the music of summer. The first piece is by a composer, instrumentalist, arranger by the name of Joseph M. Martin. If you're in a choir, you know his work. He's done over 600 compositions for choir. He has written a piece called Appalachian Sunrise, which describes a place in the eastern mountains of North America. to the Grand Canyon. This next piece is called it's called On the Trail. It's a part of the Grand Canyon Suite by Verdi Grofé. It was written in 1931, and it was written for orchestra. So it was performed in the East, and at this time, before many people traveled very far. So it paints, it's one of the most picturesque settings you can imagine. Here we are on a pack train of burros going down the trail into the canyon. The burros have hoofs, and you hear that clip, clip, clop through this in the left hand. And then you hear the train stop, and a burro goes, hee-haw, hee-haw, you know, and then he's answered by wild burros. And it takes a minute before the cowboy can get them started again. And then we hear the cowboy singing his song. So, On the Trail, Verdi Grofé. Agatha Grundahl, a Norwegian woman composer, lived from 1847 to 1907. A romantic but not sentimental song will be next, and it's just called Summer Song. How many of you have been in a canoe? Good. So get out your paddles. The next piece is called Canoeing. And it was written by Amy Marcy Beach, born 1867 in New Hampshire, where, as you know, they have a lot of water. And she was a precocious child, to say the least. An only child, and she very early on could memorize pieces very easily. And her mother thought, well, it's because of she could memorize books, I guess, storybooks. Her mother thought, well, it's the color of the cover. It's the cover sheet. Well, she also associated musical pieces. She had a color for every key. I mean, you know, like key of C, key of G, she associated with the color. So when she played or heard those pieces, she saw that color, which obviously was a real asset. She would hear bird songs, and she could write that into her music. She knew what key they were singing in. She spent 15 summers in her later life after touring Europe and concertizing everywhere and composing. She spent 15 summers between 1921 and 1938 in residence at a music camp for children, where she was inspired by nature to write many of her songs. So this one is Canoeing. was the most professional, the most original, and the most serious of the ragtime composers. And that was a period from about 1898 into the 1900s. He was able to lead the honky-tonk bars near New Orleans and really become a teacher. He started the School of Ragtime in New Orleans, and he set the standard for that. The 1904 World's Fair was in St. Louis, and they had a cascade garden, waterfalls, streams, lots of water. And so he wrote this piece for that World's Fair, and it's called The Cascades. you know, there was a time when women were not expected to have a career. And Margaret Ruthven Lang was one of those women, but she was very fortunate. She was born to a musical family, and she studied with Edwin MacDowell, and she lived in Boston, 1867 to 1972. And when she composed, it was very professional. She was the first woman to compose a piece of symphonic music, which was to be played by an American orchestra, her dramatic overture. So she also wrote this song I'm going to play called Starlight. And it's, if you go out and look at the stars at night, you may feel the inspiration she did. The last piece I'm going to perform is by Joseph J. Martin, the composer from North Carolina. It's called Promised Land, and it's from an American folk tune. And that tune weaves through this song in both major and minor keys. And this piece is really an example of a fusion of classical, gospel, and jazz. He's a contemporary composer, and he's able to integrate all those genres into his pieces. So, Promised Land. thank you very much. And thank you again for coming. And glad you enjoyed it. All right.
Encore, encore.